I'm starting the recording now, so it is being recorded at this point. So we'll go ahead and get started. Reminder, registration continues to go on. If you're going to come summer semester, you need to be registering now if you're not already registered. I'll be glad to assist you, advise you, and assist you in registering. If you contact me, if you are a cybersecurity student, which I don't think any of you are, then you definitely need to contact either Mr. Spurlock or me for advice on registering. Or if you got any friends that are cybersecurity students, tell them the same. If you're any other CIST student, any of the CIST advisors can assist you, advise you, and register you, and I can advise and register you in all CIST programs. The difference in cybersecurity is we have determined that if you take some very specific electives, you can get the networking degree or diploma along with the cybersecurity degree or diploma. In all cases, all the CIST programs, if you're in the degree, if you take psychology as either your gen ed elective or as your social science elective, then you'll qualify for the diploma with the degree, because the degree has higher level gen ed classes and an additional 2. And as far as the other courses, the CIST courses and stuff, it has every one of them that the diploma has plus 1 in most cases. So you've done everything that's there for the diploma. Psychology, because there's not a higher level employment skills course technically, but that is considered a psychology course. So if you've taken psychology, you don't have to do employment skills. That you get credit for it because it is a psychology type class. All right. The work you turned in last Monday, chapter 6, I have graded over half of those. As a matter of fact, that's why I was a couple of minutes late today as I was sitting here grading those. And I've got 5 people left to grade. And the time snuck up on me as I was working through them. I was trying to get at least halfway through, which is what I did do. I will probably work on them again tomorrow morning. It's much easier grading your class when I have dual monitors. It depends how quick we run through the session today. I might get a chance to grade a few more this afternoon. So I'm in that shape. Your grades for Collaborate last week, unfortunately, are still sitting on the piece of paper and not been put in. It was a busy week last week for me. This week promises to have some busyness to it, but not as busy. And so I'm actually making progress on getting through grading. As of Friday, everything that was due before last Monday was definitely graded. And some stuff that was due last Monday had been graded. I graded a little bit over the weekend, but I was busy on a couple of other tasks during the weekend. It was also Easter weekend, which made a little bit extra work for me at church. And then they had upgraded our sound booth computer. I got there and found out after it didn't work right. They upgraded it to Windows 11. And unfortunately, that changed some settings. So that goofed us up on trying to get out onto Facebook yesterday. Because our cameras were not being recognized, and we figured out what the problem was. It had changed the type of plug it was coming in on, and that we had to change that back. And they hadn't changed that. That had changed itself on where it thought the plug should be, and that wasn't where the cameras were plugged into. So we got the cameras working again. First part was trying to get the video to show on the screens correctly, and theoretically to show everywhere and to give me back the screen I needed to be able to see the software I use, vMix, to put the service on the internet. Well, we got all of that working. We finally got the camera input, because we knew the cameras were on and we knew they were connected up. We thought we were going to get some more drivers, but then we discovered it was just that. So when we got to the sermon and the service, we missed the first few minutes of it, which is when we determined what was the real problem, fixed it, and then we picked up and put the rest of it on the internet, on Facebook. Well, that is on the internet. And then I was also involved in a couple of other things. One, I am reviewing some textbooks for a major publisher, and I need to get one review for a chapter done last night, which was really a week overdue. It was due last Monday, but I got knocked behind when I got knocked down sick the other week, and during y'all's break of all things. And so that pushed me back. So I think I'm caught up on that stuff now. I might have one that was due today. I'm going to check when I get home tonight. My 2451, my first Cisco class, I'm doing cabling with them this semester. I have just finished all of the off-campus sessions I was going to do, but I've scheduled an extra one with Phil Murray this afternoon, so I'll be over there with them, with a couple of them that hadn't gotten it done, from 4 to 7 tonight. So when I finish this, I'm headed for Whitfield Murray. And then Wednesday morning, just for your information, it should be just a few hours Wednesday morning. I will not be in the office. I'll be working on Leadership Walker's project. We're working at the library, fixing up their little playground for the kids. It's playground, reading area outside. We're adding some stuff to it. We don't anticipate it taking more than a couple of hours, but we got to plant a tree that we have, hang some musical instrument things on the fence, fasten them all up tight so they don't get stolen, and install a couple of chalkboards, and I think paint them, and that's about it. So I should be in by mid-morning and be here the rest of that day. Friday, I may not be on campus at all, but I'll be online. Thursday afternoon, same thing. I may be going to a meeting out of town. Next Monday, we are going to move the last Collaborate session from Monday to Wednesday. I will not be on campus next Monday, although I will be online. I'm taking my car back to transmission place in South Carolina to get the transmission checked and serviced that they like to do and seem to do a more thorough job than other places, but I get it normally done around here. But they rebuilt, and I mean rebuilt, the transmission 5 years ago, so I want them to check it out again because it's been actually a year since they've seen it. My uncle lived there in Greenville until 2 years ago, and died at that point, and so I haven't been able to be back since, other than to go get stuff from his house. And now they sold the house a year ago, so I don't have a place to stay. But I'm going to be in Greenville on Monday anyway. I'm going to a concert for the Eagles on Monday night, so I'm just going to go over earlier and get my car checked out. And they got nice internet in their office, and they welcome me to use it when I'm there. So I will be online, but I'm not going to do the Collaborate sessions because I don't know how the day's going to exactly go, and that wouldn't be a real good place to do a Collaborate session anyway. So we'll do Collaborate next week on Wednesday, and that is the last Collaborate this semester. The following Wednesday, May the 4th, is the last day of class, and nothing gets accepted in my classes except for your final after that day. The next day is finals, and that's the last day you have to do your final exam. It will be available on Saturday. So we will be the same time next Wednesday as we would be today. So it'll be 2 p.m. next Wednesday. When I switch days, since I got this nice little schedule during the day of doing them, My preference is to stay exactly at the same times, just change the day on you and on me. So next week I just have to remember Wednesday is Monday. And then Tuesday morning, I may be a little tired when I do that one after getting home extremely late. No, we'll go over chapter 8 next week because that's when we're going to start chapter 8. The other part I will remind you is in chapter 8, if you have read the assignment, let me look at how I've got this worded again. I've got several notes in there, so make sure you read my notes. That's particularly important. There is some definite information for you there. You're not doing all of the items in chapter 8 of TAL. I'm only assigning certain ones of them. For one thing, they have you wanting you to do a bunch of things in Access, which I don't want you to do because Access is not a real database. It does not use, it's a real database, but it does not use real SQL. And make sure you read what's on the chapter page in Blackboard and then read what's in the assignments part in Blackboard. And then the last thing it says is give this chapter your best shot. The idea is to learn about stored procedures and triggers. And I'm reading to you from it. I'm still reading to you. I realize doing some of these can get tricky, so do not bog yourself real long on a step. If you have any questions, ask me questions and I will assist you. But give them your best shot on those things that are dealing with stored procedures and triggers. Those things are really picky and don't always work real well. And make sure y'all do post stuff into the chat window, because if you don't post stuff in the chat window, you don't get credit for having attended. So that's all of that stuff there. Your final will be available not this Saturday, but the next Saturday, April the 30th, from there through May the 5th. So you can take it at any time. It covers the whole book, and I don't remember how many questions it has. Let me see. And you have 50 questions on it. So it will be available starting a week from this Saturday through that Thursday. And that Thursday night is graduation in Dalton. I'm planning to be there. Some classes have finals on Friday because we have 2 days of finals, and I'm doing my online ones on the first day. Actually, the first day and a number of days beforehand. So you shouldn't have any conflict with another final. And then I will have to submit grades probably by 10 a.m. on that Monday morning. So that'll be that. And then that Tuesday, I've got Leadership Walker all day again. And then Thursday, I'll go down to Kennesaw State and watch one of my former students graduate with her bachelor's degree. She graduated from here in networking a few years ago. And then it looks like she's going to go on much further academically and getting advanced degrees after that. So I'm going to go watch her get her degree. So that'll heat up that day. So I'm not going to get much of a break that week. Because I think there's something else I'm supposed to do, but I know I got those two things to do. I wanted to go see my dad's first cousin, who's almost 91, in Colorado that week, but I can't pull that off. I may go up to Northern Virginia for a family outing that weekend as we end. So we'll see what all goes on. And I know I got to be at a road race where you run to take pictures on that Saturday, so it's full. All of those places that I just named, I'll be driving. However, this summer I will be flying, actually for the first time since 2019. And it's the only place I've probably really, no, 2017 I flew to Paris. But it's about the only place I've been flying to since on back. In the early 90s, I was flying about once a month all over the country. But now with security and all of that, the delays and trying to get through that and everything else, it's just a hassle to me. So usually I drive. But I'm going to training near Dallas this summer for a week, and their preference is that I fly out there, and they will pay for my ticket. They'll pay some of what if I drove, but so I will fly to Dallas this summer. But otherwise, I'm normally driving places. So that's the answer to that question. All right. No, yes, you do have a Chapter 8 test, and it will be due on that Wednesday. But so you only have a week and a half on Chapter 8. But there is a test on Chapter 8, along with also a final exam. So Chapter 8 test will actually open this coming Monday morning and be open through the following Wednesday. It'll just be about 4 days short or whatever from normal. But there is a Chapter 8 test and there is a final exam. The final exam has 50 questions on it. There is a practice final out there also, along with y'all's practice tests you've had on each chapter. All right, any other questions for me? Any questions about Chapter 7 also? Well, let's say I am halfway, a little over halfway through on grading of Chapter 6. So there's 5 people left that I've got to grade Chapter 6 assignments. But I am online as normal, should be every day. I did answer emails Saturday, Sunday, and started answering emails from just after 8 o'clock this morning. And I think I answered emails at about midnight last night. I know I looked at them, and pretty sure I answered an email at that point too, because I was working on another project for about an hour and a half, and I did not look at any email while I was doing that. All right. If there's not any questions, I'm going to stop the recording. Remember, y'all can email me at any time and ask me questions, because on Chapter 6, I had one person turn in review questions because they said they weren't sure if they were supposed to do them in that chapter. If there are questions on the different activities you do for the TAL exercises, on each of those exercises that are under TAL, you're supposed to answer each one of those. Do I enjoy online classes or more in-person classes? It's not really, I wouldn't say either one. I like both of them. The online has got a certain flexibility to it. The other part is we stopped in the computer area between the different schools I've been at years ago from teaching purely in person, that we don't teach any, what they've now got left as web enhanced, which means it has a syllabus and the grade book and maybe something else stuck out there. and handouts and stuff, but that's it. We don't do any of those in the CIS area. Haven't, and that's been at previous schools I've been at also since probably 2003. So everything's had an online component to me all along. So they're either hybrid or online. Some classes I definitely would have a preference to. It would work better to be done in person probably, but students don't always sign up for them in person, and so that just varies on that. But I like teaching in person, but there's more flexibility in the online. But in the in-person, I get to see y'all. I can see your reactions as we go over things, and I know who y'all are for sure. And I can probably spend a little more time on certain things. Adding these live collaborate sessions has added a very much a live component to it. So I think that has been very helpful too, and I'm a strong advocate of the live collaborate sessions. I do still teach occasionally in person class. Chat State has had me teaching for the last 3.5 years. Some classes for them in the evening over in Duncan, Tennessee. Not doing any currently. I did one the beginning of fall. They're on 7-week sessions now. So they do these mini masters. And I teach that in person, except for they had me teach one online back during the pandemic, and I had one I was teaching when the pandemic hit. So I taught that one, just like a couple of classes here at GNTC. They started off in person and ended up online. So preference-wise on that, I like both, and I like doing both ways because there's much more flexibility to the online. The other part is for many of y'all that the online becomes much more realistic for you. I know that also. I know for me, I like taking a lot of things. I do like taking online, but it's a completely new concept. I would rather go get it in person, at least the beginning part of it. But that doesn't happen a whole lot nowadays. A lot of things I have to do online, although I've started being able to go to some in person again. Like I went to Nashville for cybersecurity conference the other week, and like this summer I will be going to Frisco, Texas, which is about 30 miles outside of Dallas. It's a rich suburb actually. It's where the Dallas Cowboys train. And since y'all are from the Chattanooga area, you may remember that Chattanooga used to had for a while, back in the late 90s, early 2000s, that they used to host the Division 1AA, or now the FCS, football championship there in Chattanooga. Then it was moved to Frisco, Texas, and it is a fancy little stadium sitting there. The Dallas Cowboys use it for part of their summer training. I said spring training, but it's really Dallas Cowboys summer training. So this is a community and so I will get to do in-person training this summer from them again. The last few years during the pandemic, I've had to do it online. So in December, they always have it online in December for half a week. I did that. I learned about cryptocurrencies, cyber currencies, and then I had been going to one in Texas every year and one down in Jacksonville, Florida, but this year they only have one training they're teaching, and it's not any interest to me. It's how to set up a data sciences curriculum. Well, I don't need that one. We don't have it in the state of Georgia, and we'd have to first get it approved by the state before we could even set it up. And we'd have to set up some stuff, and I haven't seen demand for that around here. So unfortunately, I won't get to do that, but I've always enjoyed those, and that you get to know the people in there. So I like doing in person. I like online. It just depends. And like the A plus class I'm taking right now, um, Train the Trainer is to teach me how to teach the latest A plus certification. Um, and we're doing test 1. We'll start week 2 tomorrow night. I can watch it live, and when I say live, it's just like these. We sit there and chat back and forth through the chat box. And I know a number of those other instructors on there, a number of them, because I've met them at those trainings in Dallas and Florida. And then some of them I've met in some other places at some other meetings or some other type things also. But primarily, I've run into them there, particularly in Dallas, because they bring them in from all over the country there. And we'll carry on conversations on there and stuff. So I hope that answered your question, Brandon. That I like both ways. Okay. So, but the problem we have here on me teaching in person is when we offer in-person ones, that when I've offered those, for a year, I couldn't do them anyway. But before and since that, quite often, I don't get enough enrollment to make it worth doing. And I've got to have more than just a few people in there, because I have created in-person classes before for people that said they had to have it for VA benefits or for something else for some reason. And 2 people signed up for it. And I went ahead and ran it because I knew one of them had that requirement on them. And then the person I'd set it up for dropped out after a couple of weeks. And there I am trying to teach one person in a class. And that just does not work well, and it's not efficient use of my time. So I've got to have typically at least 6 people. The school would really say I should have 15 in there. And even my online classes sometimes are lower numbers, but I can more easily handle those with real low numbers, because like yours class is actually a full one. I think we started off with something like 20. I'm not sure why. Some people aren't turning in work now, and some dropped out along the way. That's another thing with the online. I don't get to really talk to y'all when I see that you're having problems or whatever. I can talk to you in class or whatever. Not really. It's much harder to do. So like the Cisco 1 class, Introduction to Networking, I personally think that class is a much better class taken in person. Although I do a really good job at it and what all I've added to it online. But like we offered it online this semester, I offered it actually on 3 campuses, Walker, Whitfield Murray, and Catoosa. I didn't get more than 3 students on any one of the campuses that signed up for it, even after we shut down 1 or 2 and told them they could move to this other one. And I didn't get more than 3 signed up for it, but I had 38 people, 40 people. No, I had 45 people signed up in the online section. All right, I am going to stop the recording. I think